All right, welcome back to the Three Stooges Podcast. Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee, Jordan Georgeson of Country Media, Chris Jackson of West Coast Preps. We're staying dry. It's raining out there. It's been raining out there, but we anticipate a lot of games to get back on schedule this week. This is where you find out how the grounds crews are and who could cover their infields and softball and things like that. But all kinds of things. The big news over the weekend was unofficial, but we had a media three-point shooting contest, which was all kinds of fun and hilarity and some excellence by Quentin Hamilton, our good friend for the Modesto Bee. If he's going to come up from Modesto, might as well win the thing, right, Jordan? He wins the thing in a great shooting display, which included taking on Presley Berry. We know her from Faith Christian High School of Yuba City. She's going to Concordia University in Southern California. This girl can shoot, but so can Quentin Hamilton. So I'm going to throw right to you, Jordan. I'm going to defend you first. You didn't have your best shooting day, but you still had a great day because after he had the headband on, he had the Kevin Martin jersey, the throwback Sacramento Kings number 23, and one person who didn't care was your little girl Sutton. She ran up to you and jumped into your arms. She didn't care as long as there was tater tots and ice cream in her future. She didn't care if you missed every shot. But at first, Chris Jackson was with a family function, like family over hoops. I don't get it. I'm a little
Always,
boggled,
always.
but
I don't want to be in your company. And I'm talking
yeah, well, I
I'm talking to
understand that.
Jordan.
And so, Jordan, you didn't shoot your best. I don't know if it's indefensible. It's reckless, but at least you scored the cutest little kid in the gym.
Definitely. I feel like I go home a winner with that every time, getting her to run up to me. Who knows if she wanted me or she wanted a bag of the goldfish that were up there on the stage for everyone, but I like to think it was me. She didn't care, that it was, like I said, not my best shooting performance. I think we do kind of lose in the shuffle that I did go 3 for 3 in my first event of the day, the layup free throw three-pointer. So maybe it was 3 for 4, but hey, shooting above 500. But the haters don't want to acknowledge that, and I understand. I threaten them, and I think that's part of it. But we have to give a shout out to Quentin Hamilton. Not only was he the best shooter of the day, but he's doing so on one leg because he claims he has a torn ACL. I don't believe it because he didn't look like it when he was playing out there. But kudos to him. And as for my performance, getting two in the three-point shootout, it's not what I envisioned. Even the best shooters have an off day. I felt like I had a couple rim out, and hey, when that happens, it can kind of snowball. I'm not going to be the type of person to make excuses. That being said, if I were the type to make excuses, I've made a list of about 15 or so excuses that I'd like to say. Again, if I were the person that would make excuses, I would be saying things like I didn't get enough time to warm up. I'm still suffering lingering effects from being electrocuted on Saturday. There was sweat in my eye. I didn't want to embarrass everyone by making all my shots. I had a hangnail that requires surgery. I remembered that I'm actually left-handed, just remembered that. I owe money to the mafia, and I had to throw the competition to cover my debts. Saturn was in retrograde. I'm more of a football guy anyway. I didn't want Stephen Brylow to feel bad about himself. We were playing on a girls' basketball backboard, and I'm used to boys' basketball backboards. The ball was overinflated. The ball was underinflated. My Kings jersey made me play like the Kings, and there was a weird glare from the sun positioning at the exact moment that I was shooting. But again, I'm not making excuses, so I wouldn't say things like that.
I think that's outstanding. I think we ought to do a redo. Then again, I didn't miss any of my three-point attempts because I didn't compete. I sat up there in the stage and did the tally marks and helped Coach Scott Tedman on the mic as we roasted everybody. This whole thing was created by Aaron Jackson, one of our media friends, and I'll tell you, on the surface, it looks like who's going to beat Lauren Harris in a three-point shooting contest. She's only the most prolific three-point shooter in the history of high school girls basketball. She's Sacramento Bee Player of the Year, West Coast Preps Player of the Year for girls basketball for Faith Christian out of Yuba City. She went out there and shot left-handed and gave it a real run. Left-handed, and she's right-handed. And her father, Jeff Harris, her high school coach, said, we had no idea. And she wasn't sure what she was going to do, right hand, left hand. That's just how cool she is. and the good vibe and all that. But left-handed, she gave a good run. I mean, there's some pretty good talent there. So that was a lot of fun. And Matthew Bassett got there late, so he had his list of excuses. He's ABC Jam by way of the NFHS network, but he was running his mouth a bit. And Chris
I thought
Jackson,
he
I know
was supposed to
you
be
weren't
winning.
there because you were with family, but
But I thought he was supposed to win. He had been calling
he
multiple
was.
times. I shot 51 of 90 at 24-hour fitness. What are we talking about? Like 51 out of 90,000? You come in third after all that talking and training. You waste all that time training for what? That's garbage.
Well, and
That's
I,
garbage. That's
I
embarrassing. Then you show up late, 'cause you got no respect for your competitors, and you don't even win. You don't even come in second. You barely make the cut for the finals. You come in third. You embarrass yourself. I heard from Scott Tedman and a couple others, Aaron Jackson said your form sucked. I mean, quite frankly, it was pathetic. It wasn't good. So Matt's got a lot of PR to fix here, you know?
explaining to do.
Yeah, I don't know. And he kind of made some excuses to me that it's because he showed up late to get warm up time. Well, but if you're shooting like that at 24-hour fitness where you're 51 and 90, which by the way was 51 out of 90 like 3 or 4 different times. So that doesn't add up, second off.
Consistent.
Yeah, I'm just not I'm not making sense of it. You know,
If I
It
could
was.
defend Matt for a second here, he is called ABC Jam, not ABC three-pointer.
yeah, it's just, but I mean, he was shooting like the Warriors did in that play-on game against the Suns. Just wasn't making anything.
He was shooting like Chris Dudley out there. It was,
Wow.
but we love the guy, and he, he didn't have 15 excuses like Jordan did under his subpoenaed phone there, but that was great. But no, that was a good time. It was really cool, and more kudos and more flowers to Jordan. We're gonna put you on the spot here, my friend, but you just won a journalism award. What was the award? What was the story about? And there's an update of all the timing on the story that you did.
Yeah, so it was kind of a surprise to me. A few weeks ago, I got a email from someone saying that I've been named a finalist in the John Sweat Media Awards from the California Teachers Association, which basically does journalism awards every year for reporting on education-based stuff. You have to be nominated by a teachers union. So an individual from the Associated Teachers of Placer nominated me. I'll refrain from using their name just because I don't know if they want to be, known as the one that nominated me or if they want to be anonymous. But I did reach out to them and thank them for nominating me because it was a surprise. It was on a series of stories that I did that started with the Del Oro girls basketball coach Amir Farouk resigning, and also with Jordan Whitmore stepping down as the baseball coach. That kind of kick-started the whole story that I broke in January of this year about the trustee overreach and everything that was being alleged within the girls basketball program. I found out last week that I'm being awarded a certificate of merit for that, which basically means I didn't win the big award, but I was still named a finalist, which is still an honor when you look at some of the papers that we're going up against. I think SAC-D had someone that was up there too, and some big time papers. So honored to even be recognized for this, especially to be recognized by a reader for it. That means a lot because it makes it feel like, hey, we're doing a good job in the community. The readers trust us. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm excited. The ceremony's down in LA in June. I'm looking to see if I can make it down there for it because that would be a awesome experience. But if not, I think it's also the same weekend as the NorCal finals for baseball and softball. So, hey, can't go wrong doing that either. But yeah, it's total honor to win something like this. Like I said, it was a huge surprise for me to even be nominated and let alone be named a finalist and receive this. But yeah, and now Del Oro's kind of making some moves there with that girls basketball program. They announced their new head coach, Greg Hoffman, someone known to the program, a Del Oro grad himself. Brings, I think they said 15 years of coaching experience. Helped lead the Golden Eagles to, I think, the state semis when he was playing there. Played professionally overseas. And Joe, you and I were talking about the big thing with the girls basketball program. And one thing that I kind of highlighted with these stories is a lot of people have said the culture that was there when Mike Takayama was the head coach is gone and they cannot seem to find a way to restore it. And I think this is about as close to a culture guy that you can hire to Mike Takayama as you're going to find. I mean, someone that knows this program, has had kids come through Del Oro, went through Del Oro himself. But I mean, this seems like, if you were swinging for the fences, you made solid contact on this, and now you're just waiting to see if it clears the fence.
Yeah, this is a home run hire. Greg Hoffman, I remember my early years at the Sacramento Bee, was a multi-sport guy. And so it's neat to see he's still involved. We know the name Randy Fasani is probably the greatest athlete in school history. The school opened in 1958 or so, so it gives you a frame of reference of how long Del Oro's been around in Placer County. And he's involved with the boys basketball program. He's also been involved with the football program in the past. So a lot of times we see this where you get alums who fit what they want at that school. And Mike Takayama was the longtime girls basketball coach at Del Oro, a champion person, a championship coach, 600 wins, died some 8 years ago, sudden heart attack. I remember getting a phone call from Vic Pitton. He was the St. Francis of Sacramento basketball coach, and they had just played him in a summer league game. And he called me and he was upset. And he goes, I got some terrible news. Mike Takayama just died. And I was like, oh. And I just remember hearing that news, and he was still coaching. But you're right, Jordan, and a way to get things going. And Jordan Whitmore, the Del Oro baseball coach, championship coach, because these are year-to-year at-will contracts, they let him loose. And now he's an assistant at Oak Ridge and El Dorado Hills of the Sierra Foothill League. So good coaches land. And it's great, good reporting, great job. A lot of times we really enjoy doing stories on, the feel good stories and the feel good people, but sometimes you got to dig into some of these issue stories. And I did one last week. A student athlete at Del Campo of Fair Oaks is suing his high school football coaches, Jeff Remington and Matt Costa. They were both cleaned out last fall. They had just kind of a bad deal that was just permeated throughout the program. And Matt Costa had stepped down early in the season to tend to his ailing father, who died after the season. There was also an investigation during that time. Is there belittling? Is there racial undertones? A lot of the coaches got cleaned out. There was investigation found that some of the junior varsity coaches were having their kids run bear crawls in 100-degree heat. Those coaches were cleaned out during the season. Hard story to do because people don't go on the record. People are fearful. But this lawsuit's going to be interesting. I don't think it's got a lot of legs on it. The young man in question put in his lawsuit that his dream was to go to the University of Michigan. That was his lifeline. That's what he wanted to do. And the thing is that he never started a game. And in the lawsuit, it said that the Del Campo coaches ignored the extraordinary efforts of his play and practice, and they benched him as if it was all personal. But you're not a prospect if you're not starting, if you're not playing, and it's unfortunate this stuff goes down. This whole culture's got to change, and with these at-will contracts, they'll clear them all out. And so there we are. They have a new coach there, Jordan Botha. He's an alum of the school. We have a theme here, and he played for Del Campo when Mike Domino was the coach, and so trying to bring back somebody to keep this program afloat. Some of the other ugly stuff that I had in the story is the father of the player who's launched this lawsuit, by the witnesses of several people, would verbally unload on Coach Matt Costa's parents. And what are we doing? And so that you get some of that kind of nasty edge to it. And in high school, we see it in youth sports. Chris Jackson, we've gone to games over the years, both football, basketball, baseball, softball, and you could hear some of the mouthy stuff coming from assistant coaches or players, or confrontations with referees or fans or people trying to get onto the field. In youth sports, high school, yeah, that's what we see. That hasn't changed. It's been amplified because of social media. So we're always on alert. You never know what's going to happen. Chris Jackson at Sac High has been confronted by fans. I'm laughing. I sent them. I sent them, go after Chris Jackson. But that is the nature of what we're living with now, and we got to report on these stories, though they're the worst kind of stories.
Yeah, they are. It's not fun. Luckily, I've only been really confronted by one person ever, and everything was literally okay after, and talked it out, all was fine, right? And that happens. I mean, sometimes parents want the best for their kids. That's just the way it is, right? I'm not a father yet, so I can't even say I can relate to that, but I can imagine. If I'm this defensive of my dog, I can't imagine how defensive I'll be of a kid. But right, it's kind of like that. But I don't know, I think the lower the level it goes, sometimes the different it gets, right? Like it's not going to be all clean. It's not going to be all roses all the time. And 99% of what we see is great. It's literally roses. It's perfect. You don't need rose-colored glasses for it. It's just great people, great parents, great coaches, great kids, great admin, great everything. But there's always going to be that 1% in every field too that just ruins it for everybody, right? And sometimes we'll see it at high school games. I've seen it a lot more at other stuff like 7-on-7 tournaments and that type of stuff where I've seen coaches heckling kids and trash talking them. And I'm like, you're a grown man. This kid's 16, 17 years old, has a full ride scholarship, and you're doing this at a 7-on-7 tournament. Like, let's look in the mirror and reevaluate there. But yeah, I mean the culture is just different at a lot of these levels, but it's like I said, there's that 1% that ruins it for everybody, and that goes to any field, any sector. Like we hear about the bad fans at pro sports, college sports all the time, but nobody's really going to talk about right the 13 other thousand fans in the stands that were just fine and on their best behavior because that honestly it's also expected, right? Like we expect that's not that. Now we expect boos. We expect some heckling, especially Yankees, Red Sox this week. There should be a little bit of, jawing. Fans should be jawing. That's rivalries, right? That's what makes it fun. I think the players expect it, but there's also a line that should not be crossed when it comes to fans, parents, coaches, heck, anybody. And that goes just not just in this, but just in life too. You got to know what that line is and what's too far and what you should say and what you should not say. And some things you think are
No, that's
common sense,
exactly
but
right.
sometimes it's got to be reiterated to people that, like, hey, we cannot do that. We cannot say that. That's unacceptable and gotta learn. And with kids, especially, a lot of times when I see like a kid gets in trouble at a game or gets a tackle, whatever it is, you hear a lot of people like, oh my God, that kid's terrible. What's he doing? I'm like, he's 14, 15 years old, right? Like well, I'm not going to criticize the kid for that. They're 14, 15 years old. They don't, right? They're in the heat of battle, it's competition, all that stuff. It's different though when it's like when I've seen a 50-year-old or 29-year-old saying something to kids. But again, that's that small 1%. This high school baseball, softball season, in terms of parents and stuff, I've literally seen nothing but good. So it's been
Good.
that. And it's been what 2 months of that season already.
Well, and you think about baseball and softball, unlike football, where there's more people in football, but in baseball and softball, you could hear the
Yeah.
venom. It's right next to you, and they just unload and unleash, and it's the referee's fault, the umpire's fault. Come on, blue, and it's the other team's fault, and so really risky behavior, if you will, because everybody's filming, and if you're out there losing your mind, and the CIF and its member schools have the power and the authority to eject fans and give them multiple game suspensions or lifetime bans. So there we go. But other things to kick around before we dig in a little bit more on baseball, softball. The NFL draft is this week. The Raiders go first. I see Chris Jackson with his Raiders hoodie. And by the way,
Fernando
Jordan,
time. Fernando time.
yeah. So Jordan, check this out. So Chris's wife Ashley's got a birthday today, and I found out what he got her. He got her a Raiders hoodie. I mean, come on.
Now here's a
I
good
think
No
that's
better
story.
than that.
that's a fine gift.
Now,
That's
now
a
here now here's
perfect
a
gift.
story though. Here's a great story that was told at our wedding 2 years ago in 2024 was everything was going great early on in our relationship, right? But her father, so my great father-in-law, love Tom Cobb dearly. He's a great dude, but he's from Colorado, so he's a Broncos fan, right? So my wife told him, well,
Everyone else
Dad,
was.
there's one thing though that there's a concern. He's like, what? She's like, he's a Raiders fan. And he was like, oh boy, how are we going to make this work? And I mean, I guess, all these years later, we're married, everything's good. But that was told at the wedding, and she still decided to go through with it. But happy birthday to my amazing wife. I don't know why she deals with me. I really don't understand that.
We don't either.
Yeah,
And we're boggled by it. I
I
understand
tell her
why.
that every day too. I'm like, what's the matter with you? And I mean that in a nice way. Like, you could do so much better.
Well, and Jordan's wife, Haley, knows she could do better, but she also knows in Jordan, he can do some of the heavy lifting, which means lifting up Sutton or Jace. And that is heavy lifting, especially with all the tater tots they got coming. But anyways, on the NFL draft, we have one local guy that I know of who was on the draft radar. It's a familiar name. Michael Wortham was a Sacramento Bee All-Metro quarterback, Center High School in North Sacramento. Junior college All-American. Jordan, you remember him when he was at Sierra College. Then he gets a scholarship to Eastern Washington, switches positions, plays receiver, earns all-conference honors as a receiver return specialist, and then 2 years as an All-American at the University of Montana. Sets all kinds of program records for all-purpose yards, handoffs, receptions, special teams, returns against Sacramento State in a game at Hornet Stadium this past fall. He had 3 touchdowns, two rushing, one receiving, 260 yards total offense, just lit it up. That's what he does. He's a projected 7th round pick, maybe an undrafted free agent. He will be on an NFL training camp this summer because he has versatility and he's got great speed. He is a playmaker. Talked to his junior college coach, Ben Noonan, Sierra College yesterday. He said he's lightning in a bottle. You can't catch him even in a phone booth. He is just dynamite. And so he was overlooked, if you will, this is a familiar story. Wasn't tall enough, wasn't thick enough, but he's fast enough. And he was working out at Sierra College a few weeks ago, and Ben Noonan asked, "Can you talk to the football team?" And what was his theme? He goes, "Hey, junior college could work for you, work for me. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough." Great message. Here's more cool, Stu, is his message. So he's married now. Maria is his wife, and he's a father. Malia is a little girl. So he's a more mature guy going into the draft as a husband and father. And this is how involved his wife, Maria, is. So he's at Sierra College working out about a month ago, and somebody had to feed the jug gun to catch footballs. It was her. I mean, how's that for Team Wortham? So cool, kudos to him. Uh, Guys do make the NFL as 7th round picks. They do make the NFL as undrafted free agents. And his speed and his dazzling ability will give him a shot to make a living in the sport. And he goes by Money Mike, which kind of his personality. But he's going to get paid for catching the football or running with it, and he played Wildcat and all that. So kudos to him. You remember him, Jordan, don't you? I mean, he was an electrifying talent at Sierra College. Just give him the ball and go.
Oh yeah, I remember him well. He was an All-American, I believe, at Sierra College as a quarterback, I believe, when he was there too. And then my sister-in-law actually went to school with him at Center High School, so someone that I've been familiar with for a while. Great player, excited to see him at the next level. And he's the type of guy, kind of like a Stone Smart, where yeah, you may not be projected to get drafted, but you've been successful wherever you've gone. And I have no doubts that if you find your way into a training camp, you're going to have a fighting spot to get onto a roster. And sometimes you can sit on a practice squad for 14 weeks, but all it takes is one shot and you never look back and you're suiting up every Sunday from them. So he's a guy that I have no doubt will be in a training camp. And, if he gets a shot, I think he'll make the most of it. The only other draft prospect I know of with local ties, Kean Sloan from NC State, Rockland graduate, 6'3", 239. He's listed as an edge rusher. If he goes, it's going to be on day 3, probably a late day 3, or he could sign undrafted. The older brother of Reeve Sloan, Rockland's quarterback that's at Nevada right now. I watched this kid at American River when I was doing the broadcast for their games. Just an absolute stud. He was a defensive player of the year for the state in 2022. He had 84 tackles, 22 tackles for loss, and 12 sacks in 12 games. So, hey, if you're doing that in JUCO football in California, you're going to open some eyes. Had a solid career at Utah State, and then last year at NC State started all 13 games, 61 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. interception, a pass breakup. Someone that is probably going to find his way into a training camp somewhere. And again, like we said, all it takes is a chance. But having watched this kid play at the JUCO level, seeing the type of athletes that are in his family, I have no doubt that he's someone that's going to make an impact if he ends up landing on a roster. And I think the interesting thing too is going to be, 6'3", 239 listed as an edge rusher. That's kind of an interesting thing because I mean you could maybe potentially move to linebacker at that size, or you're going to have to put on some size to be an edge rusher at the NFL level. But I think Kean Sloan's a name to keep an eye on. And as a degenerate Raider fan that has done my own mock drafts a few times, I've seen him pop up in the 6th or 7th round on a few of them for other teams. So I mean, there's reason to believe he could go on day 3, but that's another name to watch.
Oh, it is, and that's good stuff there. Good knowledge, and decades ago the NFL draft was 17 rounds, and then it got paled down to 14 rounds, a little bit lower, and then it was decided by the players' union. Let's just make it 7 rounds, and then the guys who don't get drafted, they and their agents could pick and choose where they could play or sign or try to pursue it. So the draft is a big deal, as we all know. The first round is Thursday, and then rounds 2 and 3 on Friday, and then the final rounds through round 7 or Saturday. Be interesting to see. We've had years we've had first round picks. Shaq Thompson, Grant High School, Eric Armstead, both first round picks in 2015. Colton Miller, the pride of the Roseville Tigers with the Raiders, is a tackle at a UCLA first round pick. And then there's years we don't have anybody drafted. You just never know. So kudos to those guys. And, and the other thing that Wortham told the Sierra College guys is, he goes, be a good person, be a good student. Character matters. Sounds like a bunch of noise, but no, it is true because these NFL recruiters or scouting evaluators and front office guys will reach out to their high school and college coaches. What kind of character? What was his work ethic? Because they're investing in these guys. So it'll be really curious to see what's going on. But let's talk about basketball real quick, and then we'll switch to some spring sports. So we're talking about Presley Berry won the media 3-point shooting contest. She's going to Concordia of Irvine out of Faith Christian High School in Yuba City. Excellent player, so she knows where she's going. Haley Smith, the 4-year starter, all kinds of school records and rebounding, career scorer, 4-year Sacramento Bee All Metro player, Sacramento Bee Medium School Player of the Year. Excellent student. We've all talked about her. She's going to Sacramento State, and she's not sure she'll ever play again. I was telling her that Coach Tedman and I were telling her, hey, walk on. Walk on at Sac State. You have a small window. You're either going to miss it terribly or maybe you won't miss it. So the point being, it is hard to land. Mano Jenkins, 4-year starter at Natomas of Sacramento, a section champion, all-time career scorer, multiple-time Sacramento Bee All Metro. Was a guy who's been in West Coast preps coverage for years, and he's going to Casunas River College, junior college in Elk Grove, Sacramento. The point being, Chris Jackson, you go where it fits. Everybody wants to go Division I. Everybody wants to play in the NCAA tournament. Reality is that's not likely because there's so many student athletes out there. We're just talking about Sacramento. We haven't even talked about Los Angeles, San Diego, or the whole East Coast. So really, our theme has not changed, guys. Go where it fits and go where it feels right and go where you might play because you're not going to play forever. And so seize it now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? You're not going to join a company or get a job that doesn't want you. You're not going to date someone or marry someone that, quite frankly, doesn't want you. That just doesn't make any sense, right? That's not how that works. And you got to look at the stats too. There's thousands upon thousands and thousands of people that play high school sports. It's 7% even make it anywhere at the next level, and about 1% of those are Division I. And then think of what levels at like a power conference too. It's even lower than that. You can go JUCO, you can go D2, you can go D3, you can go NAIA, you can still play, still get an education out of it, and you can still move up too as well. Now be sure you take good advice with that. There's a lot of people go into the portal and they get bad advice. They think they're going to go somewhere bigger. They don't, but there's got to be good advice with it. Make sure you've got people that actually care about you and not just themselves, right? Like make sure if you have an agent with you too, they legitimately care about you because don't forget, there's also on their end, they make money through this stuff too, right? But is it in the best interest of you? Is that something that can actually work out and happen? So if you even get a chance at the next level, you got to understand you're still one of those like elite athletes at this level. You're still doing something most people cannot do and cannot even dream of, right? Like there's nothing wrong with going to CRC, going to ARC for a few years. There's nothing wrong with going to Lewis and Clark, Puget Sound, going to Humboldt, going to Whittier. Who cares if it's D1 or not at that point, right? Like, what did we say last week? You go where you're wanted, go where it fits, and go where somewhere that they genuinely appreciate you and want the best for you. Because you're going to be the one that comes home at the holidays or random breaks throughout the year that you're going to be happier than someone that's fifth string at a really big school and some coaches don't even know their name.
Oh, that's a good stuff. And we talk about go where it fits, go where it feels right. Rosich of Sacramento Adventist, he's the greatest girls basketball player for that school located in Carmichael. She was our small school player of the year. She's been honored similarly by Chris Jackson, West Coast Prep. She is signed with La Sierra University. She'll actually, this weekend, she will meet the coach and sign. Um, and that's a small college in Riverside down in Southern California. Go where it fits, and her sister's there, so that's going to be a double bonus there. But yeah, there are other layers to college besides what we see on TV. Division two, Southern Oregon and Ashland, Oregon, across the Oregon border, NAIA, which is small level. Scores of people from Sacramento have gone up there. Just go, and sometimes they meet their husband or their wife there, who becomes their husband or wife, their spouse. It could change your life. So go where it works. And it doesn't mean people aren't going to still keep bouncing around. The transfers happen. I'm working on a story in Sacramento State. Here's Mike Bibby, the former Kings coach. He's got to retool his entire roster all over again because of the transfer portal. That's how it goes. That's what the era that we are in. Couple quick notes, and I'm going to throw um, to Jordan here in a second, but the UC Davis spring football is finishing this week. They had a spring game competition drills the other day. They got some good-looking quarterback prospects to replace Caden Pinnick, the Del Oro High School star who was a freshman All-American at UC Davis last year. He jumped into the portal. Speaking of the portal, now he's at Washington State. Sac State has its spring game on Saturday, 3 p.m. at Hornet Stadium. It'll be curious to see what's going on there. They have to revamp their whole roster with a new coaching change and all that. So football's always in the air, but we're in the heart of baseball and softball, if weather permitting. Jordan, is there a baseball player or two or a team that's caught your attention?
I mean, one we've got to talk about right now, I feel like, is Del Oro right now. They've won six in a row all of a sudden. They just took a series from Granite Bay that was kind of spread out over a week and a half due to rainouts and umpire issues of, scheduling and whatnot, but still getting 2 out of 3 from a program like that is nothing to scoff at. They just swept Oak Ridge. They've got Jesuit this week, weather permitting. I'm hoping to get out to tomorrow's game. And leading the charge for them is a guy who hit the walk-off against Granite Bay. Nico Bucciolacci, who I believe is leading the section in home runs right now with 6. That's one you got to, tip your hat to, an impressive team and player right there. And then a couple other teams that I think are maybe flying under the radar a little bit that deserve a little more recognition. How about Rio Americano for one? They're leading the CVC right now. They swept Wood Creek. They have a lot of impressive wins on the schedule. And then Joey Dorman, too, a 0.71 ERA across 49 innings. I mean, that's something you don't often see at this level, especially at, a bigger school like that. So I think, Rio Americano is maybe a team that we don't always give the shout out to that probably deserves a little extra love. Tyler Ritter at Roseville, a 0.61 ERA. How about Roseville's 1-2 punch of Ritter and Ethan Gustis? You have a UC Davis commit and a Vandy commit is your top 2 guys. You're going to win a lot of games, and they're proving that right now. So that's one that's an impressive one. Robbie Silsky at Placer. He's been tremendous for them, both behind the dish and as a pitcher. He has a 0.82 ERA in 25 innings, one of the leading hitters there, too. Garrett Brink, also one of the stars from Placer, 31 innings, a 0.89 ERA. Ari Silva, McClatchy, 0.91 ERA. in 46 innings. I mean, I can go on and on some of this. Some of the batting averages we have here are incredible. I mean, we have multiple kids hitting over 500 right now. Just we've talked about how good the baseball is in the Sac-Joaquin section. I think we're really starting to see that this year with some of these stats as teams are pulling away. And then another shout out too, I want to give on the college level, Jessup University right now. They are second in Division II with 85 home runs. Yeah, I've got the Jessup hoodie on right now. 85 home runs.
And 85 home runs.
As a team, yeah, 85 home runs, 12 this weekend alone against Fresno Pacific. They split that series. Two of them were grand slams. I mean, just unbelievable stuff. Tony Otis is leading the team. He has 18 homers, fifth in the nation. How about this? So Landon Plout, who last year was one of the nation's leading home run hitters at Lincoln High School, helped lead the Zebras to a section title there. He's been their cleanup hitter this year. He's got 10 home runs as a true freshman at a D2 program playing in the Pac West, which has programs like, Westmont, Point Loma, Hawaii Pacific, Concordia, like schools that are repeatedly competing for national championships. Jessup too has been a solid program over the years. That's no small feat with the level of competition you're going against and just the guys you have to beat to get into that lineup. He's a kid, Chris, we talked about it, and we mentioned it. Joe, you said the transfer portal already. When you see a kid doing that as a true freshman at a D2 school, I think the thought automatically pops into your head of, well, are you going to be at Jessup next year? Are you going to be there in 2 years? Because the nature of the beast now is I'm sure there's going to be some D1 schools that are going to come calling and seeing if they can pull them away. Just goes to show how impressive some of these players are out here. A couple other teams I think deserving of shout out right now. How about first off, Lincoln High School looking like they're in a position to take the PVL. And then how about Yuba City? I feel like that's a team that's maybe flown under the radar because they had a slow start. They have everyone eligible now. They're tied for third in the FBL. They're sitting a game behind Placer, and they have 3 games to play this week, weather permitting for that, of course. But that's a pretty big series right there. And that Yuba City won a NorCal title last year. They look scary again. They're heating up right now. Del Oro, like we said, heating up right now. Rockland's a team that I wouldn't want to be playing right now. Talk about just Division I as a whole. It just kind of feels like all these divisions or all these kind of top 8, 9 teams in D1 are scary teams to go up against. Bella Vista, one I wouldn't want to go up and face right now. Elk Grove, we've talked about them a few times. Franklin as well. East Union, Jackson Faye's been tearing it up for them. Rodriguez, Vista, Oakdale, just a great year for baseball out here. And some of the stat marvels are starting to kind of set themselves and set their teams apart from the pack.
Excellent. And kudos to the coaches and the stat keepers for putting in stats to Max Preps. People continue to think that, Max Preps won't list so-and-so's stats. Well, it's not Max Preps. The great beauty of Max Preps is it is a user-friendly tool, and it is the responsibility of the schools to have somebody input those statistics. What are you hiding? Come on. And it has nothing to do with, these guys it helps their draft prospects and the recruit. No, it's just, if you're going to have that page, then use it. We talked about it. If Mater Dei and Bosco and De La Salle and football could run their stats, then everybody should. The Folsom Bulldogs do, and same in basketball. If the Folsom Bulldogs and the Sheldon Huskies and Modesto Christian could do basketball stats and boys basketball, then everybody should. Same kind of thing in softball and all that. But speaking of softball, Chris Jackson, weather permitting, we have a super softball showdown tonight. Central Catholic Modesto taking on Destiny Christian of Sacramento, which is unbeaten. Leah Tua. What else is going on besides that game? Who are some movers and shakers who are doing some big stat marvel things?
Yeah, before I say that, I've just found out, for those wondering, Elk Grove Franklin baseball game 2 is off today, according to Brian Kilby at Franklin. Hoping to get that in tomorrow at Elk Grove. So might not be the only game that gets changed today. So just FYI on that, baseball, softball included. But Destiny Christian, they are nationally ranked. Right below them in the national rankings is, guess who? Ponderosa, right? They entered this week 21-0. They beat Elk Grove. They beat Whitney. They beat Rockland. They beat Oak Ridge, Intercom. You've got Kate McCartney, who's a sophomore that's got 15 home runs this season. You've got two outstanding pitchers. Haley Warney's going to Southern Oregon. She's a senior. Their freshman, Lauren Klomp, under a 1.00 ERA. Mason Perrin's hitting the softball really well, but they are terrific. And when you're nationally ranked like that and not losing, that says a lot. They've got Del Oro coming up soon before this regular season ends, a great test. And Jordan, in your area too, Del Oro was trending up at the right time, right? They had come back from that trip to LA and they had said, like, what do we want to do the second half of the season? Do we want to be who Del Oro was supposed to be or not? Because they entered this season like top 15 in America, but took some tough losses. Now, granted, tough losses for them are like ranked teams in Northern California, right? And then going down to Los Angeles and losing to some top teams down there too. So it's not like Del Oro had any iffy losses, right? They were all losses to great programs, great teams, great coaches, great pitchers, right? But Del Oro, since they beat Central Catholic on the road, they've beat Whitney, they've beat Rockland. Now they're alone atop the SFL standings. Michaela Finn's pitching really well, the one going to Cal. She's a great leader for the two freshmen, Catherine Popovsky, Kara Surstam, and they're hitting the ball well. Avon Brower going to Oregon State, only a junior, really hitting that thing well. You had Kaylin Campos, a sophomore, had two doubles in that Rockland win on Friday. Then Emmett Johnson, their sophomore catcher, 8 home runs this year in counting. I know we just put her on our Athlete of the Year watch list, I think on Monday too. So Del Oro's trending up at that right time. You look at other teams, Vanden's won 9 of the last 10. The one loss in that span was to Rockland. They've got more big games coming up. Elk Grove softball just beating Sheldon. They're all alone atop those Delta League standings. They've got plenty of big wins, right, where they've beat Oak Ridge. Amanda Buck, their head coach, by the way, 200 career wins there. So impressive. She got that on Friday. I was at the game when she hit 199. Players thought she hit 200. She was like, no, wait, this is 199, right? So I'm sure she got the Gatorade water bath again, but they are young, really talented. Kimball's playing well as well, the southern part of the section. Second place in their league, only behind Tracy, who was right on the verge of those national rankings with, 4 or 5 D1 commits. And Kimball's got a sophomore pitcher at over 100 strikeouts this year, their fastest in their 16-year program history to do so. And then, Jordan, what else have you and I heard from SFL coaches? Oak Ridge, they're 9-8, but they're a whole lot better than 9-8. When you've been to 2 straight NorCal D1 championship games, you've won 3 straight section championships. You've got Brooklyn Parator as a catcher with 7 home runs going to Washington. You've got a pitcher, Kennedy Freeland, who's coming back from a devastating injury last year. She's going to Loyola Marymount. They just beat Whitney too, just the other day. So that type of win, beating Vanden, beating Vacaville, shows you that when Oak Ridge is on, they are on. And when you've got championship pedigree like that and a whole bunch of girls that have that experience of what it's like to win a championship and then make a run after that championship, these SFL coaches ain't wrong. Oak Ridge is a team where I would not be surprised if they're playing on whatever that day is. I think May 24th, 25th, whenever those section championships are.
Yeah, no, that's it's good stuff. And weather permitting is the verbiage we're going to use. And before we know it, it's going to be roasting hot. We got the Sac-Joaquin Section baseball and softball playoffs just around the corner. Jordan alluded to it earlier. NorCal championships in baseball and softball early June. CIFC track and field championships in Fresno will also cap the academic year. Can you believe it? And it just seems like we're still recovering from football and we're still recovering from basketball. Here we are blazing down the backstretch in the spring sports. Has been a good academic year. It's good to catch up with everybody. Again, congratulations to Jordan, not for winning the 3-point media contest, but being there, wearing the headband, and having his Sutton jump into his arms. She saw him as a champion. Kudos to her friend. Blown Achilles, blown ACL, whatever he might have had. I didn't see it. Quentin Hamilton came up from the Modesto B to win that contest. Is outstanding and really cool. NFL draft this week. Everybody pay attention. We'll see if we get a couple of local guys, Keon Sloan out of Placer County and Michael Wortham out of Sacramento and junior, both of them junior college guys. The JUCO route works. But for Jordan Georgeson, Chris Jackson, Joe Davidson here with the Three Stooges. Thanks for everybody for watching, tuning in, talking about the show. We'll see everybody real soon.